Don't try this at home, or rather on your next flight on United Airlines. It's the most daring of heists in history, and to this day, the smartest investigators have been unable to solve it. The bad guy literally vanished into thin air. Let's dive in. In 1971, a man identifying himself as D.B. Cooper boarded a flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. This is what's called a puddle jumper, a very short flight. The airline rep at the counter, and even D.B. himself, probably had no idea that he would go down as a legend. Wait a second. This is the 1970s. We need some music. While in the air, D.B. Cooper handed a note to the flight attendant, claiming he had a bomb, and demanding $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. The plane landed in Seattle. The ransom money was delivered, and Cooper released all the passengers from the plane. He kept just the 4 crew members on board. Alright, enough disco music. I hope I made your day, Grammy and Grandpa. Now that he had the money, he had to figure out how to make an escape. But how? He ordered the plane to take off and headed toward Mexico. But instead of a cold cerveza in Cancun to celebrate, Senor Cooper, if that was his real name, had other plans. He parachuted out over the wilderness of Washington State. For anyone who's ever spent time in the wilderness of Washington State, you know it's not quite rainbows and unicorns. But he did it. Police, the FBI, and the National Guard mounted a massive manhunt. He had $200,000 in cash at the time, which was a lot of money back then. The FBI took over the investigation, but they could be called the Federal Bureau of IDK because they had no clue. Perry Mason was gone, but even with the great detectives and mystery writers in the years that followed, there would be no solving the case. Now, D.B. was wrong to commit such a crime, and we are all disappointed in him.
Look what you did, you little jerk!
But like Oceans 8, 11, 12, and 13, there's a part of the human brain that wants the bad guys to get away. And D.B. did just that. Or did he? People have questioned the ability for someone to survive such a fall from a 727 aircraft and have to deal with the wilderness in Washington State. Parachuting onto the top of a tree in the middle of the forest would have had him questioning his life choices. Also, no amount of money can persuade a bear not to eat you. Also, he jumped out of the plane during a rainstorm in the nighttime hours, so the odds are already working against him. But still, he was never found. The money was never recovered. But there's more. See, all U.S. money is marked. The ransom money that was given to D.B. Cooper to release the passengers was never spent. They know this because it would have eventually made it back to a bank, which would have been able to identify it as the money used in the D.B. Cooper case. A small amount of the money was found in the woods, but the majority of it remains missing. So, if some people are correct in assuming D.B. did not survive, a bunch of the money landed somewhere in Washington State and has never been touched again. The FBI had a few leads to go on, and they had a few suspects in the years that followed, but nobody was ever arrested or charged with any crime. Over a dozen similar airplane hijackings were attempted based on the legend of D.B. Cooper just that year. All of them failed. This actually led to some of the security changes at airports that are now common.
In another bin. I said it already. Put your shoes in another bin.
So while it seems like he may have planned certain things perfectly, it's not clear whether he lived after that fateful night. Just like the Great Train robbery, the D.B. Cooper story is one that will continue to live on and inspire books, films, and of course, endless guessing as to his true identity and whereabouts.